What's going on, guys? It's HawkWX, and today I'm going to be talking about my 2026 NA RLCS preseason power rankings. If you enjoyed today's video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Thanks, guys. Now let's get into the video. Alright, guys, we're going to start the video with our classic old reliable heads up slide, and it says, this video is meant to power rank the 16 best teams in NA, but it will really only for sure be power ranking the 13 best teams in NA who have signed up for RLCS so far. There are a lot of good players out there who still somehow have not announced their rosters whose teams could easily take the 14th, 15th, and 16th spots on this list or even higher. So I decided to make possible teams out of those remaining good players to fill in the 14th, 15th, and 16th spots. Since none of the teams I created are confirmed, I will leave them at 14th, 15th, and 16th because I do not want to rank them over confirmed rosters, considering they may not even happen, even if I do think they should be ranked higher. So basically the 14th, 15th, and 16th place rosters on my power rankings, I made them all up. I don't necessarily think that they would be the 14th, 15th, or 16th best rosters in NA if they did form. I just have them there because I'm not going to put them above the rosters that are actually confirmed, because they might not even happen. It is kind of weird though, because I think quals start next week, and the fact that there's still a lot of good players that haven't confirmed teams is kind of weird to me. Maybe there's a lot of good players that just aren't going to play this season. I honestly don't know. But anyway, the first team we have on our list at honorable mention is Sawyer's Cake is Dummy Thick. These guys are cracked. This is Assured Chalk 653, HawkWX, and Starfish05. No, this is not me and my brother's Rocket League team in game. My main reasoning: one of the best teams in NA, 3 brothers on the same team, and individually better than the only other brothers in RLCS of Clears and Ruas, really low floor and really low ceiling. 2 champ players and 1 GC. If people gasp when we're in the air, it's mainly because of how badly we just whiff past the ball. NA regional placement potential, top 12,132. We are not even signed up. Just kidding. If we were to play RLCS, we'd win. So honestly, the main reason that me and my brothers don't sign up for RLCS is because we know it'd be unfair to the other teams, honestly. We just win. We want to leave some winnings for some other teams like NRG, you know. We want to let other teams that maybe aren't so good get some wins. All right, now we're moving into the actual rosters. These are the rosters that I made up out of the random players that are kind of left over that haven't announced rosters yet for this season. So number 16, we have possible team. This is Adam, Knight, and Percy. My main reasoning: if this team were to form, I do think they would make regionals in NA, and the 16th spot is probably fair for them. I think this team does have some upset potential. I feel like all these players are underrated. They would honestly have a decently high ceiling, but probably a really low floor. NA regional placement potential, 13th to 16th. So of the remaining good players in NA that haven't announced rosters yet this season, I decided to make this one first because Adam and Knight are always doing really well in NA regionals, or they're getting close to making regionals, I should say, or they do make regionals. They're just kind of that top 16 gatekeeper in NA, I would say. Realistically, an Adam, Knight, and Percy team I could see being 16th in NA. Alright guys, now we're going to move on to the next random team that I came up with on our list, and this is number 15, another possible team. This is Nolly, Life, and Wellis. And if you guys didn't know, Nolly is actually playing in CRL this season, so there's a chance he'll play in RLCS. It's probably unlikely, but I do think this would be a legitimately good team that could form heading into the RLCS 2026 season. So yeah, my main reasoning now, I feel like this would be a legitimately good team in NA, but they are not a real team, so I cannot really put them above 15, even though they would have top 8 or so potential in NA while peaking. Nolly is still very good in my opinion, and Wellis is underrated. I'm surprised we have not yet heard about Life being picked up by a decent roster yet. Life is very mechanical and one of the next up players in NA. NA regional placement potential, top 8 would be possible. I have possible in all caps because I don't think it would be a guaranteed thing. This is basically if they were to peak, I could see them making top 8. Do I think they'd make top 8 every time? No. Is this roster even going to form? Probably not. But if this roster did form, hypothetically, they would have top 8 potential. Now moving on to number 14, we have yet another possible team. This is Hoxer, Lion Blaze, and Panda. I actually think this would be a really good roster, or a potentially really good roster. Probably not going to happen. But anyway, my main reasoning: Hoxer is still very good and could play on a legitimate RLCS team still. Lion Blaze and Panda looked good together in the NA LCQ, I believe it was, and I expect them to stick as a duo. I could see Lion Blaze and Hoxer creating a very high floor team, and having Panda could give them some offensive firepower. NA regional placement potential, top 8 would be possible. If this team were to form, I think they have top 8 written all over them. I don't know if they would do better than top 8 in NA, but I do think they'd make top 8 in NA, probably honestly every single time. I think that Hoxer, Lion Blaze, and Panda are just too good, honestly, to not make top 8 if they were a team. I just think that Hoxer and Lion Blaze play Rocket League in a really smart and really safe way, and I think with Panda giving them a boost on offense, I think this could actually be a pretty good team in NA. Now we are going to move on to the confirmed teams, and at number 13, we have Lil Step Bros. This is Alpha Cap, Ga, and Oath. Main reasoning: this could legitimately be a good team in NA. Ga is genuinely very underrated, and Oath is also quite underrated and always consistent. Alpha Cap is a young prodigy with lots of potential, Zen-like talent. I think this team will unironically have a pretty stable playstyle with a decent floor and decent ceiling. NA peak regional placement potential, top 8 is not impossible. I do want to point out, guys, on these teams here on 14, 15, and 16, I put NA regional placement potential, and then here, once you get into the confirmed teams, I have peak regional placement potential in NA. So basically I thought it'd be fun to kind of like look at a team and see how I think they could do at their peak in NA. And I do think Lil Step Bros, I don't think it's impossible that they could make a top 8 in NA. I do think it's possible. I think they could do it. It would probably require a lot of things to go right for them, but if they were playing well, I seriously think that Gun, Oath are good, and I think Alpha Cap's underrated even. I know that might sound crazy, but I really do think Alpha Cap is pretty good at the game. I could see him make top 8 if they were playing well. I really could. In a depth. All right, now moving on to number 12, we have Gas. This is Garrett G, AJ, and Squishy. Main reasoning, all three of these players are still legitimately good at Rocket League. I think if they were to scrim, they'd be a true top 8 gatekeeper in NA. They should have a decently high floor and also a pretty high ceiling. If they were to peak, I could see them make a top 6 in NA. NA peak regional placement potential, top 6 is not impossible. So, yes, you just heard me say top 6, along with the players Garrett G, AJ, and Squishy. But if they were peaking, think about it. Think about if Garrett G, Garrett Goat, AJ, who actually I think could still be on RLCS teams to this day, like good RLCS teams that could actually probably compete for majors. And then Squishy, who is still very good at Rocket League. I think if they were peaking and things went right, top 6 could happen. Yes, it would take some crazy things happening probably, but I do think they could make top 6. I just think they have a really stable floor and they're going to have a pretty decent ceiling. If you're not playing well, this isn't a team that you're going to want to run into. But anyway, now we're moving on to number 11. This is an interesting one at number 11. This is Shuffles Kittens. Their coach's name is Shuffleverse. Their team name is Shuffles Kittens. So here you go, number 11, Shuffles Kittens. This is RG Relating Wave and Speed. This was literally Team Evo last season in NA, but anyway. Main reasoning, this is last season's Team Evo roster who were actually very solid in NA. I expect this team to play exactly how they did last season with a floor and ceiling that are the exact same, but that's a good thing for them. They will probably always beat the teams below them and never the ones who should be above them. NA peak regional potential placement, top 6 is not impossible. So the same as Gas. I think that Gas and Shuffles Kittens both have a chance, if they were peaking, to make top 6 in NA. Do I think it's likely? No. Do I think it'll happen? Not necessarily. Do I think it could happen though? Maybe. So I have to put it there. If they peaked and had the right bracket, I do think they could make top 6. Also guys, I hope you like these slides. I kind of got sick of, let me just find one here. I got sick of this little logo up here in the corner, like the octane with the question mark over. I just think it's boring. Kind of got sick of looking at it. I'm not gonna lie. So I wanted to try to like actually, so like Shuffles Kittens, I put a cat, like super innovative stuff there. And then like for Gas, propane tanks, and then a goat in the background because they're goated. I just got sick of looking at the octane with the question mark on it. I'm not gonna lie. So you get this. This is what you get. But anyway, at number 10, I say that, and then there's an octane with a question mark over it. I am, okay. But anyway, number 10, we have a new confirmed team. This is Andy Royales and Zanil. My main reasoning, this team is a very strange team to me. I really cannot picture how they'll play together. All three of these players are definitely good, but I could see them actually doing a lot worse than this power ranking if their play style's off. I do expect this team to be pretty consistent, especially with having Andy and Zanil, but we will see. NA peak regional placement potential, top 6 is not impossible. This is another one. I do not think this team will get a top 6 this season necessarily. Like, I don't expect it. It's not something that I would be like, oh yeah, this team's gonna get a top 6. I'm just saying if they got a good bracket and we're peaking on their day, top 6 could happen. But yeah, just pay attention more to my power rankings than like what my peak rating is. Like, my peak rating says top 6, but my power ranking for them is 10. Like, because I think they will be the 10th best team in NA most likely. 11th for Shuffles Kittens, 12th for Gas. You get it. It's a power rankings video. But yeah, I just don't want you guys to overthink about my NA peak regional placement thing. Moving on to number 9 now, we have Demo Derby. This is Calm, Creams, and Parth. Main reasoning, I think this will be a sneaky good team. I think Calm is still a very good player and Parth is extremely underrated. I think both Creams and Parth are underrated mechanically. This team will have a pretty high ceiling, but I'm a little worried that their floor may be low. Demo prediction 1000, all calm. NA peak regional placement potential, top 6 is possible. So now you're seeing with this Demo Derby team, I have top 6 is possible in lowercase instead of being top 6 is not impossible in uppercase. Because I think that this is the first team on our list who, like, if they made a top 6, it wouldn't be crazy. Like, if you told me that Calm, Creams, and Parth made a top 6 in NA, wouldn't surprise me. In fact, it probably will happen at some point this season. Do I think they're the 6th best team in NA? No, I do not. But do I think that they could make a top 6? Yes, I really do think it's possible. I think that Calm, Creams, and Parth are all very good players on paper. If they made top 6, it wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I have them at number 9 on my power rankings. This will be a really interesting team to watch though for me. I do really like all three of these players on paper. I just don't know what we're gonna see out of them, stylistically, all that kind of stuff. But I do think this team has a lot of potential. I think they're a little bit of a sleeper. But anyway, moving on to number 8 now, we have M80. This one was surprising. I was really surprised to see this roster get signed by an org. I really didn't expect it. I would assume they're doing well in scrims to get picked up by an org. That's just what I would assume. I don't know why else M80 would pick them up because there's other rosters that are ahead of them on this list. As you can see, I have them at number 8. They don't have orgs. They didn't get picked up by M80. So for M80 to pick them up, I would assume they're doing well in scrims. That's all I can imagine at least. I don't really know what else the case would be. But anyway, at number 8, we have M80. This is Eris, Devo, and Mech. Main reasoning, I am a big Mech believer. However, this roster scares me a little bit because I do not know how good Devo will be or to what extent Eris will help Devo and Mech grow. Devo and Mech are both next up players in NA. This team has a ridiculously high ceiling, especially mechanically, but I worry about their floor. I would assume they have been doing well in scrims to get picked up by M80. I was just kind of talking about that. That's another reason I have them so high. NA peak regional placement potential, top 6 is possible. I just see these players on paper. I just know how mechanical they are. I have to say that top 6 is possible. Do I think it's something that I expect from them? Not necessarily, but I do think it's very possible. And if you have M80 picking them up, it's just got to be that they're doing well in scrims or something. I don't know what else it would be. If they're not doing well in scrims and M80 just wanted to spend some money, then I guess that's that. I think that'd be a pretty poor business decision. You'd assume they're doing well in scrims. That's seriously the only thing I can imagine. So yes, I have M80 at number 8. They might be able to outdo that power ranking though. It's just like play style wise, consistency wise, I don't know what we're going to see out of this team. So I have them at number 8. If I knew they were going to be consistent, if I knew they were going to have a good play style, I'd probably have them higher than this. I just can't bet on that right now. Also, I do want to say, no offense to Eris and Devo. Also, Devo is like Mech. He's a young up-and-coming prodigy in NA, or up-and-coming player in NA. I probably shouldn't say prodigy right away, but Devo and Mech are very good players. They're very similar. But I personally think that Mech probably should have been picked up by like a slightly better team this season. No offense to the M80 players. This is a good team. Like, this is obviously a good team. They're literally signed to an org. I seriously think Mech was playing like he deserved to be on a top 4 major making team in NA during the LCQ. This team's just really hard for me to rate, guys. I'm not gonna lie, because they got picked up by an org, which makes me think they're doing well in scrims or something. But then I look at the players on paper, and I just don't know if I believe they'll have a good playstyle or anything like that. If they do, I think they'll be good. I think there's a lot of talent on this roster. I just don't know. I have no idea how they're going to play. I don't know what we're getting here. Strictly because of talent, they find themselves at 8th on my list here. All right, guys, now we're going to move on to number 7. And at number 7, we have Aura Blast. This is two-piece Talk and Wavy, and I actually think that this team could be pretty good. But anyway, this is Aura Blast, inspired by Wavy. But anyway, number 7, we have Aura Blast. This is two-piece Talk and Wavy. My main reasoning, I really do not know what to think of this team, but I do think this is a very talented roster. If they have a proper playstyle, they could be very dangerous. If not, they might have a rough season. I think this team has a ton of potential. All 3 players have good mechanics, and contrary to most people's thoughts on Shopify at Worlds, I felt like Wavy and Two-Piece did alright for their first ever land straight out of LCQ, especially Wavy. I actually thought Wavy did pretty good at Worlds. Maybe a lot of people didn't think that, but I actually liked what I saw from Wavy in particular. But anyway, I feel like Talk will take the next step this season. NA peak regional potential placement, top 4 is not impossible. So as you can see, I have that impossible in all caps because I'm like trying to emphasize that. I think it is closer to impossible than it is to actually happening. But I do think if they were to peak, top 4 could happen. They could make a top 4 for sure. It'd be stupid to say that if two-piece Talk and Wavy peaked, they couldn't make a top 4 in NA. This is a sneaky roster too. This is kind of like this other one here. Not necessarily this one. I do think this is a sneaky roster, but like this one, the Calm, Creams, and Parth team, I think these are both really sneaky rosters that might have a chance to make some noise and like honestly get like 5th in NA potentially. Like I could see them both. I could see either of those teams potentially finishing like 5th in NA. Probably not making majors, but I could see them being the teams that you like have to get through to make the majors. But anyway, number 6, we have Septuple Flip Reset. And this is one of the teams that I'm actually the most excited for this season. Like I am very excited to watch this team play. And I actually think they should be picked up by an org. If I was M80 personally, no offense to the other roster, I really like the other roster too, but this is the roster I would have picked up if I was M80. I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, number 6, Septuple Flip Reset. This is Aqua, Evo, and 5-Up. My main reasoning, Aqua and Evo might be the most mechanical duo in NA. I know that might sound insane. I didn't say the best duo in NA. I know that Daniel Beast Mode Atomic, I know that First Killer, LJ Kofer, those are all insanely good players. They're all very mechanical. And then also like Magic Bears, your Chronics, your Reveals. There's a lot that I'm not saying right now. Like Justin, all those players, they're all very mechanical. But like Aqua and Evo just have like, they're mechanical merchants. I don't know how to explain it. Aqua is just ridiculous on the ball. Aqua is not as well-rounded of a player as like a Daniel or Beast Mode or like a First Killer, obviously. I'm just saying, Aqua on the ball, individually, he might be the most mechanical player in NA. He's up there. Like, legitimately, I really do think so. Evo's insane, too, and 5-Up is very underrated. But anyway, let's get back to the main reasoning. 5-Up is extremely underrated and pretty consistent. Just kind of said that, honestly. I think 5-Up will be a good presence to have around Aqua and Evo. If all 3 players were peaking, I seriously think they could compete with NA's top 4 and potentially even upset the teams not named NRG. There's a world where this team is consistent and makes majors out of NA. In that case, they'd probably be taking SSG's spot, at least in my opinion. I have no idea what we're going to see out of SSG. I think if they were to take any team's spot from the majors that you would expect to be at the majors, it would probably be SSG. But anyway, NA regional placement potential, that's supposed to say NA peak regional placement potential, top 4 is possible. There's probably actually a world where they do better than top 4. That's kind of implied when you say a team can make top 4. They probably can go a little bit further than that even at that point. But yeah, it really wouldn't surprise me to see this team make some noise in NA this season. They are very, very good mechanically. If they have a good playstyle, they will be good. Like a legitimately good team. If they have a good playstyle, I think they'll compete for majors. If they were to peak, top 4 for sure could happen. They wouldn't even need a good bracket for it to happen. If they were peaking, they would be able to literally just roll teams over because they are that mechanical. I truly think if they had a good playstyle, they might just be able to sneak into majors in NA. But I can't bet on them having a good playstyle, so I have them at number 6. But anyway, moving on to number 5 now, we have a really interesting roster, at least in my opinion. This is Foot Esports. This is Cheese, Frosty, and Sosa. My main reasoning, I think Cheese is incredibly underrated and Frosty is S tier in NA in terms of mechanics. Sosa is a solid support player, and I think if Cheese and Frosty create on offense and work together with Sosa sort of helping to enable them, they could be a very solid team. I would like to think this team will have a pretty high or consistent floor, at least that's how they appear on paper, and I think their ceiling is higher than people might think as well. If Frosty and Cheese were peaking together, I think they'd be a lethal duo, and I actually think they complement each other very well as it is stylistically. This roster has all the pieces to be very good. While it was just a Cash Cup, they did beat Shopify. Just a little bit ago, actually, like a couple weeks ago, they beat Shopify in a 3v3 Cash Cup. They didn't end up winning that Cash Cup, but they did beat Shopify, which I think is worth noting. And I put that there, which I think is something worth noting. NA peak regional placement potential, top 2 to 4 is possible. That might sound crazy. I would honestly say the same thing for this roster. Top 2 to 4 is possible. I do, maybe not for Aura Blast, but for Septuple Flip Reset, Aqua Evo, and 5-Up, I do think that top 2 to 4 is possible. Do I expect Foot to make a grand final to get like top 2 in an NA regional? Not really. It probably won't happen, but if they were peaking, I do think it could happen. Especially considering they beat Shopify. I know that I'm putting a lot of weight into that, but the fact that they were able to beat Shopify, even if it was like before the season has even actually started, I think it does show that they can play Rocket League at a very high level and probably a high enough level to get top 2 in an NA regional if they were to peak. But yeah, I have them at number 5. I think that's fair. But anyway, now we're going to move into the top 4 of my NA power rankings now. And at number 4, I have Space Station Gaming. This might surprise you guys. Yes, this means that I have Gen.G ahead of Space Station. But anyway, number 4, I have Space Station Gaming. This is Chronic Diaz and Reveal. My main reasoning, it may surprise people to see that I have this team at number 4 in NA, but I have my reasoning. I simply have too many questions about this team. I know we have not seen many of the other rosters mentioned play so far, but the SSG players on paper, I just truly cannot picture how they'll play together. Like, I have no idea what we're going to see out of this team. To be honest, I picture a very mechanical team here and a top team in the world at their peak, but probably an inconsistent team at first. There are no questions to be asked about their talent, we know they're good, and it should automatically put them at top 4 in NA. They can outdo this power ranking, that is something I want to know. I think they can for sure outdo this power ranking. I just have no idea how they're going to play. Like, I literally see these players on paper and I can't even picture a play style. I'm going to be very interested to see how this team plays together. They have all the talent in the world, I just don't know how they're going to use it. But anyway, NA peak regional placement potential, top 2 to 4 is likely, winning is not impossible. So you have some wording changes there and a new thing. You see winning is not impossible and it's bolded. That's because I think it's unlikely, very, very, very unlikely. I do not think Space Station will win a regional this year necessarily, but I think it could happen. I think if they peak, they could win a regional and an A. Also, top 2 to 4 is likely. Here you see top 2 to 4 is possible. Here you just see top 4 is possible, even though I think they could probably make a top 2 to 4. Here I have top 2 to 4 is likely. I think it's likely that Space Station will make a top 4 at some point this season. SSG probably should make top 4 every time in a regional this season if they play the way they should. I think it's very likely that they'll make majors out of an A. I can't say it's a major lock yet. I know they're extremely talented and that might sound crazy. I just have too many questions about them, but I do expect them to make majors out of an A. And I think that top 2 to 4 is likely for them. And that's probably how they'll place most regionals. They'll probably get top 4 most regionals, or at least they should. And again, winning is not impossible. I think they could win a regional if they played as well as they possibly can. All right, guys, now at number 3 on my NA power rankings, we have Gen.G Mobile 1 Racing. This is Justin, Rise, and Magic Bear. My main reasoning, the more that I think about this roster, the more that I think they're going to be very dangerous next season. Even with international competition getting better, I think Gen.G may crack into the top 8 at any given LAN this season at some point, and who knows how far they could make it at that point. Justin and Rise are very good on LAN. Magic Bear started to find his LAN footing as well. I feel like these players all complement each other very well, and I honestly feel like Magic Bear and Justin will be the core offensive duo, which means Rise might play more of a support role, which is absurd considering how good Rise is, at least in my eyes. They will all be very good online. This team will be good online. There is no question about it in my eyes. I just see them on paper. This is going to be a good team. NA peak regional placement potential, top 2 to 4 is likely. Winning is possible. Our first major lock. It might surprise you guys. SSG, I do not have them noted as being a major lock. I think that they definitely are the favorite to be the 4th spot in NA. I think they're definitely a favorite to make lands out of NA. But I think Gen.G, there's just something about them on paper. I think they're just a major lock. I think they will make majors in NA. I think they're going to make probably every top 4 in NA this season, or at least this first split. I think they're too good. Justin and Magic Bear are too good. Rise is too good. I think they are very good on paper. I think they have a lot of potential, and I think they're being very underrated. Especially Rise. I don't know why so many people are acting like Rise isn't this great player anymore. At least that's how it seems to me. Justin, Rise, and Magic Bear on paper, and with how good Rise still is, I don't care what anyone says, Rise is still a very good player. This team could be really, really good. Like legitimately really, really good internationally as well. Also, another change from SSG, here it says winning is not impossible. Here it says winning is possible. I think that if Gen.G were to win a regional, it wouldn't be that crazy. Like it's something that could actually happen. I do think obviously NRG and Shopify are the teams that everyone's going to try to beat. It's going to be really hard to beat either of those teams to win a regional. But I do think Gen.G could do it. I think Gen.G has the best shot to do it of the teams that aren't NRG or Shopify to win a regional. So yeah, I think that Gen.G at their peak level, top 2 to 4 is likely. Winning is possible. And I do, regardless of their peak, think that they are our first major lock on this list. I do think that you will see Gen G at majors this season out of NA, for sure. I could be wrong, but I just don't see how this team misses majors. I just don't think it'll happen. I think they're too good. Now, moving on to number 2, we have Shopify Rebellion. This is first killer Kofor and LJ. This is expected. Number 1 is even more expected. It's kind of obvious at this point, but anyway. Main reasoning, first killer, LJ, and Kofor all on the same team. It is impossible to rank any first killer team below top 2 in NA preseason. This team will have a ridiculously high ceiling and a high floor in my opinion. This could be one of the best offenses and defenses in the entire world, not just NA, in the entire world. I think we're going to see the Violent Panda effect as well. I loved how Dignitas played Rocket League last season, and I'll be interested to see how he has this trio play the game. The NRG roster and this roster could legitimately be the 6 best players in NA. NA peak regional placement potential 1st to 4th, winning is likely, major lock. So, Shopify, I have them as a major lock. They will make majors out of NA. It's gonna happen. If they don't make majors out of NA, then I don't know what happened. Then they stop playing the game because they should almost 100% make majors out of NA. If they don't, something's wrong. The thing that might surprise you is that I have 1st to 4th, but again, that's peak regional placement potential. I think they're gonna make every top 4. They should at least. If they don't, then they're doing something wrong. Like at the end of the day, this much talent on their roster, if they're not making top 4 in an NA regionals, they're doing something wrong. But yeah, at their peak level, 1st to 4th, I definitely think they can win. On paper, I think they are the only team in NA that actually has a chance to take down NRG. I think Gen G if they were peaking maybe, I think SSG if they were peaking maybe, but outside of that, nobody else. But yeah, to me, it's basically NRG, Shopify, and then the rest. That's how I see it, but I do think Gen G is really close. I think Gen G is a lot closer to Shopify than people think. I actually think there's still a gap between NRG and Shopify even, like obviously. I am very high on Gen G though. I know I keep talking about them, but I do think they're going to be really good. I think they're going to be a lot better than people think. But as far as being able to take down NRG goes, I think it'll be Shopify will have the best chance. Gen G will have somewhat of a chance. SSG maybe, and then nobody else. I'd love to be proven wrong, and I do want to say I think NA does have its strongest top 4, maybe ever, heading into this season. I really, really do think that the SSG roster is extremely talented. I think Gen G is extremely talented. I think Shopify is extremely talented. NRG's obviously just won the world championship. I think this is NA's best top 4 in a very long time, maybe ever. But NRG, dude, they're just going to be hard to beat. Like, it doesn't matter how good your roster is. They are the world champions. They're going to be hard to beat. So this isn't necessarily a thing of like, I think NA is just terrible and NRG is just goated. I just think that NRG is hard to beat because they're the world champions. And they've proven that they are hard to beat. But yeah, Shopify at number 2, it's really the only thing that makes sense. And now moving on to number 1, we have NRG. This is Atomic Beast Mode and Daniel. My main reasoning, GG. No explanation needed. This is the best team in NA until someone says otherwise. NRG will have another shot at pulling off the three-peat this split. The best overall team in NA in every aspect. Another small thing to note, they just won the world championship. I think that's a little small important thing that just happened. Kind of a big deal. They just won the world championship. I mean, not only does that put them above everybody in NA, that puts them above everybody in the world until someone else wins a world championship or a major, whatever it may be. For now, this is the best team in NA and in the world. I genuinely do not know if I can see anyone beat them in NA this season, but I would think Shopify can do it and maybe even a peaking Gen G or SSG. I love how this is like cut off at the bottom, and it looks like it is on the video too. That's goated. I think it says NA peak regional placement potential, winning 6 regionals, major lock. That's really goated how that's just like cut off. So yes, NRG guys, big news, crazy news, big alert. They're gonna be making majors out of NA. If NRG doesn't make majors out of NA this season, then the world was sucked into a black hole because like, I don't know what happened. They're gonna make majors out of NA and they should be the 1 seed very likely. If they're not the 1 seed, then they'll be the 2 seed, I guess. They're just gonna be good. And also, as you can see, for my NA peak regional placement potential for them, I have winning 6 regionals. Not only do I think they can obviously win regionals in NA, they've done it so many times before. If NRG was playing at their peak level consistently at regionals, they would just win every regional. Because at their highest level, they are better than every team in NA. At least until someone says otherwise or another team shows us otherwise, I should say. That's just the way it is. So yes, I put winning 6 regionals and major lock. Hopefully you guys enjoyed yet another Hawk WX NRG meat writing session. Now for the final slide. Thanks for watching, subscribe. So yeah guys, that is going to do it for my NA RLCS 2026 preseason power rankings. And definitely be sure to let me know down in the comments what you guys think about my power rankings. How would you guys power rank these teams? Who do you guys think is the top 4 in NA? Who do you guys think is the top 8 in NA? Who do you guys think is the top 16 in NA? I would genuinely love to hear you guys' thoughts down in the comments. And yeah, feel free to let me know what you think of my rankings as well. Anyway guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching everyone, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.